over Chinese spy ship Yuan Wang 5 entering Sri Lanka. CNN News 18 has accessed a letter written by Sri Lankan authorities to China, asking them to not send the ship. Colombo has requested Beijing to defer the visit of the ship till further consultation. Alright, so this is a major development that we are getting in. Now, India has been, flagging this off. They have said that this Chinese spy ship has entered Sri Lankan waters, and now this letter confirms that as well, with Sri Lanka telling China to not send this ship. Sri Lanka has actually barred entry, this after objections from India. All right, let's go across to Patikrit Pen for more information on this. A very good morning to you, Patikrit. Now, India had already raised the alarm about this Chinese spy ship, as they allege. And now Sri Lanka as well has barred entry of this ship, and they've said that, defer the visit until further consultation.
Well, Yuan Wang 7 is a dedicated satellite tracking and missile tracking ship, and the Chinese excuse that it would only be coming to the Hambantota port for refueling was just a sham. The original and the actual purpose is actually to keep an eye on India. See, this has always been a concern of India as to when, China actually took over the Hambantota port from the Sri Lankan authorities, because Sri Lanka was not in a position to actually pay for the construction work that China had done over there. There was always this concern that to some time or the other, the Chinese would actually bring their naval assets and put it over there. And Sri Lanka, because of its, sheer dependence on China, because that they are in a debt trap, will not be in a position to actually prevent or stop China beyond a point. And this has exactly happened this way. This time what has happened is that because Sri Lanka is in a sheer financial emergency, and the only country that has helped them is India, so they completely cannot ever ignore the concerns of India. But at the same time, beyond a point, China will try to extract its pound of flesh and would ask Sri Lanka to repay or pay back the debt that they owe to China, which is almost 20% of their entire debt, external debt. And I think Sri Lanka today is in a catch-22 position, because India will never allow this ship to come, and the Chinese will desperately try to do this, because if you look at what is happening in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, the sinister designs of China are very clear. And so when they try to bring this, very modern spy, satellite tracking and missile tracking ship in the vicinity of India, the purpose is very clear. The onus is only up to the Sri Lankan government, and they have to make clear that they don't allow it in the future as well.
Thank you for providing that perspective, Patikrit. Now we're also joined by our managing editor, Anand Narasimhan. Very good morning to you, Anand. Now earlier, Gotabaya Rajapaksa had actually allowed the entry of the ship, and it was being said that the new succeeding government of Ranil Wickremesinghe is not in a position to overturn that decision. But after verbal alarm, which was raised by India, now Lanka has actually blocked this spy ship, and the Dragon has been embarrassed as a result.
Well, we have to see that Sri Lanka is trying to play the balancing act. Just like Patikrit was saying at this point, that Sri Lanka owes it big to India for the help that it has extended in times of strife, especially when the Chinese have hardly done anything. The other aspect is that this Hambantota port is under the Chinese lease. So, frankly, beyond the sovereign request that is happening, the Chinese are at free will to do what they want at this port, because it's under the Chinese control for 99 years. So that's the level to which things have deteriorated. But we need to look at things in perspective. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to balance it out, because yesterday he's issued a statement where he's backed China's position on Taiwan, where he said that Sri Lanka wholly endorses the One China policy. And then at the same time, this letter has also been sent to try and say that please don't dock your ship here, because there are concerns that have been raised. And India had also raised concern. But what Sri Lanka is right now saying is, don't dock it now. Don't bring your ship now. We'd like to get into consultations and discussions, and can we schedule this for a future date? So this is exactly what's been done. Now, the spy ship was docking around the time the CCP is is celebrating its foundation day. So there are, and so clearly across the waters and across the territories where China wants to express its dominance all across Asia, there were certain acts it was doing which was flexing the Chinese military muscle. So not just in Taiwan, but also in the Indian Ocean, or when I say Taiwan or the South China Sea, but also in the Indian Ocean because of the Indo-Pacific move that India is making with America, Australia, and Japan as vis-a-vis Quad. So these are the reasons why. It's not that this ship is not docked in Hambantota before. It has docked once in the past, sometime in 2014. Even at that time, India had raised objections, but the situation was different and the significance was different at that time. Now things are very, very different, and clearly India has said that, listen, we are helping you in times of strife. So this is the basic thing, the courtesy that you can extend. So that message has gone to the Sri Lankans. The Sri Lankans are trying to balance the act by telling the Chinese, we recognize your one China policy, but please, right now, understand our situation and don't dock this ship here. The other thing is that you had the Chinese Foreign Ministry special envoy who has had a meeting with the secretary at the MEA, and he has confirmed this yesterday, but that was with respect to Afghanistan. But the Chinese are also now engaged with India at a different level vis-a-vis Afghanistan. So is there a certain consideration that will come where China realizes that it needs India not as an adversary, but as somebody who's going to be an ally in this in this region, if it needs to figure out a way to try and counterbalance America? So is there a realignment which is happening? We'll have to see, or is this just perhaps a matter of convenience that you have to engage with all those, even those who you don't even consider as an equal or as an adversary, but now you are supposed to take cognizance of. So because that was China's approach to India, that India is a fly that it can swat at any point in time. That was the approach that they had, but till June 2020, after which things changed, and China has realized that it cannot mess with India, especially with India trying to drive a lot of the initiatives and also help nations which are caught in the Chinese debt trap. We've already helped Maldives in the past. Now we are helping Sri Lanka. A nation beyond help is Pakistan because of the position that it's taken with India also, and it's too far gone to help. But we've also stepped in to try and help Bangladesh. We are also trying to do our best with Afghanistan. So clearly, India is also exercising a certain level of diplomatic muscle, clout, and more importantly, not the big brother in the terms of a bully, but big brother as a caring brother in this neighborhood, where we believe that we need to take care of all nations around here and work with them together. So that attitude is also paying off. Now we'll have to see if the Chinese back off, if the PLA indeed backs off, or they continue to bulldoze and say, no, this port is leased to us and we'll decide when to talk and how to talk and who are you to say something. Because that then will become a position which will become again not manageable for Ranil Wickremesinghe internally and also externally.
But Anand, as you're pointing out, the kind of monetary help that India has given Sri Lanka to the tune of around $3 billion, in fact, has clearly paid off, because even this deferring of the ship is a huge victory, because in the past, China has extended huge economic assistance to Sri Lanka, and also very significantly that port is also leased to them for 99 years. In the past, naval ships from India, China, Russia, Japan and Malaysia had asked for permission to go to this port, but only permission to China has been granted. So this deferring even is a big win for India, which is very concerned about the fact that this ship is capable of monitoring our military installations.
Well, we must see it as a significant gain and a significant leg up for us vis-a-vis Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka was caught in the throes of the Chinese. It was in a vice-like grip of the Chinese. Before the Sri Lankans, now they have realized that they need to keep a certain level of equanimity or equidistance. And this is the reason why the Rajapaksas have been thrown out. Not just because of the financial strife, but China nearly has about 20%, 10% in value, but in terms of kind and the investments overall, Chinese debt hold for Sri Lanka is nearly 20% of Sri Lanka's debt, external debt. That's a huge vice-like grip that the Chinese have. And to break out of that, Sri Lanka needs allies and nations. And no other nation has stepped up. No other nation which has helped Sri Lanka in the past has actually stepped up other than India. Our $3 billion aid is not just monetary, but it's also humanitarian aid. We have helped them with food supplies, medical supplies. We've helped them with fuel. So we are continuing to help them. But the difference is that Chinese investments came at a cost. It's a huge cost. And at a quid pro quo where the Chinese extracted more than a pound of flesh, not just a high rate of interest, but also trying to acquire properties and projects in Sri Lanka